Hey, folks, and welcome to the Beer Garden. I am Jason. Over there is Brandon. And today we're going to be chatting about 5 tactics to help you stand out to potential customers. Before we get into that, Brandon, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, I'm going to get some flack for this, I anticipate, but I'm going to have a White Claw
Oh,
mango flavor.
oh boy. All right. I'm going to reserve any comments about that and let the listeners handle
Yeah,
that for me.
let me have it. I've got my Alberta hat on.
Oh,
Shout
okay.
out to Last Best right
Nice.
here in Calgary, Alberta.
Your Al Seltzer hat?
My what?
Al Seltzer.
The hell is
You're
that?
drinking a seltzer, not a beer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's
Try
just
to
keep
keep
it.
up. The reason I'm not giving you too much flack is I am drinking a beer called Love and Lemons. It's a lemon ale. So I can't be too judgy with the
What's that logo? I recognize that. Is that a ripoff of something?
it looks like it's the Philly like love sign but with a lemon.
All right, yeah,
Yeah. Philly
cool.
is it's short for Philadelphia. That's a city in the United
Thank you.
States. And this beer is by Great Divide. It's a
Very
local
good.
brewery, so at least I'm keeping it local. All
Boy.
right. Yeah.
What's new? It's dark outside, as you can see out my garage door. The days are getting short.
They are getting short. We're wrapping up the summer here. Yeah, not too much new on my end, just kind of prepping for fall and winter. And yeah, saw the plows on the trucks earlier today. What about you?
Ugh.
Yeah.
Good for you for being so proactive. Yeah, we're at work. We're also getting ready for winter. Got all the plows ready to go. We yeah, we've had to plow snow as early as late September before up here in the last 3 or 4 years. So it's good to be ready early.
September 7th in Denver. That was the earliest one I
Yeah,
can remember.
like a plowable amount of snow.
That's debatable. It was like a inch to inch and a half, but we have some customers that have us plow at an inch or more. So yeah.
That's what she said. All right, let's get into it. We've got
Let's do
5
it.
tactics.
Yeah, 5 tactics. These tactics are meant to be fairly simple and most of all actionable things that you can go implement tomorrow. And so we're going to touch on the tactic itself and then some specifics with each tactic. And really, I think one of the reasons we chose this is, when we're recording this right now, it is one of our sales seasons. So Brandon and I both deal with homeowners association boards. And it's it's very typical that they have kind of multiple sales seasons throughout the year. We're in one of those sales seasons right now, getting ready to go into winter. So
Yes,
um,
we are.
we wanted to talk about a few things that you can do to stand out from your competitors and hopefully be that bid that gets selected. So the first tactic that we're going to talk about is pretty simple one, but you can really expand on this one and go super deep, and that is overhaul your proposal package. So, you know, whether you have a fairly robust proposal package or you're just sending pricing in an email, there's probably some more that you can do to really beef that thing up. And, you know, keep in mind that,
That's like you could call some people call that quote your estimate, whatever. It's
right.
like it's got lots of different names. Once you overhaul it to the level that Jason's got his at, it's no longer just an estimate. It's a proposal.
It's not only that, it's a proposal package. It's
Yes, right.
you gotta add package once it's over 20 pages.
Right. Yes.
So, yeah, what are some things that you've seen work in regards to what are the low hanging fruit that you see most typically with overhauling your proposal package?
Yeah. So the the common ones, the most common, like I've been given. Not sure if I should say this on camera, but I've been given lot of competitors' bids over the years, whether from competitors just showing me, or I just see them on the desk of managers when we're talking, or whatever might happen.
Good
Uh,
save there.
yeah, right. And they're usually just prices on a page. Like, it's very boring. It's just like the simple estimate from QuickBooks, or from um, whatever software that you may use, and it's pretty easy to stand out when you start adding a bit of flair to it. So you really want to highlight your business in this. This is the only document that is guaranteed to for your customers to actually look at. So one thing is, I would always have it in the same file. So if it's digital and you're sending your proposal package over email, it's not, here's our one-page PDF with the price, and here's a file of photos of our equipment, and a file of a demonstration of a video of us doing our work. Have it all in one single document, especially if you're going through property managers, and maybe with a homeowner too. The reason for doing that is that if they print it off, or they forward the file on, they download the file and forward it, it's all together. And the thing with the price is the only thing that is guaranteed to take all that information with it. A couple of the things that I would make sure to add: team profile pictures. So a little bit about who your team is. If you're a one-person operation, that's fine. Talk about yourself, your background in landscaping and snow removal, a little profile on yourself. If you're a big organization, your managers and the different layers in your teams, and the point of contact that this individual might be speaking with, these customers. I would I like to highlight a map of their property too. That just shows your professionalism and how well you know your trade. It's like, wow, these people didn't just look at my property on Google Maps, which might be true, but didn't just look at it on Street View and say, well, I don't know, $200 a month, or $2,000 a month, or whatever the property is. You're showing them a map with a breakdown. Here's the square footage. Here's how many trees you have on your property. Here's how many square feet of lawn, how many parking stalls, all these things. And there's softwares that generate those things. In the old days, we used to measure those on satellite ourselves. It's funny to say that's the old days, but before that, it was literally drawn by hand and measured with a wheel. But it's pretty quick to turn those things around, and those will really make you stand out. I know you're the master of this. You taught me a lot about these proposals. What other types of things have you added in?
A few things. I mean, like you mentioned, ours is pretty robust. We have like a lot of content in there. And I just wanted to highlight something you said. The reason we have so much content in it is for exactly what you said. Like, this is the only document that we know they're going to look at. We used to send the classic, here's your pricing page, that's the proposal, and then do like drip campaigns with email of all the other content. Now we bunch that all into one package and include that for the reasons that you said. And then we still do those drip campaigns to kind of highlight some of those things. Things that we've added in, we also do the maps, obviously, the team photos and bios. Customer testimonials is a big one. That's the proof, right? So we add in and I think I borrowed this from you. We had a list of properties, like active properties that we service, with the address, and say, go check these out.
With permission, of course. Yeah.
Right. Yes, exactly. Customer journey. So that's really like the key steps of your process, so that they understand what's next. Like, that's great, I got the proposal. Like, what's ahead? So you're really kind of outlining what to expect, and highlighting the differentiators within your company as well.
Hmm.
And then, simple things like obviously a cover letter. Um, I like to have some fun with the cover letter. Like once you really know your client and who you're speaking to with these, you can really lean into the messaging with these things, and the cover letter is a great place to do that. I you know, immediately speak to the pain points that I know that they're feeling. So, like an example in ours, I talk in the cover letter about like our whole goal is to eliminate the need for you to have to babysit the contractors that you hire. We know that's a pain point we hear about all the time. So I lean into that in there. And then I talk about some of the things that um, differentiate us from other companies that they're probably looking at their proposals on the table as well.
Yeah.
And if you've got a really robust proposal document, it's very easy to lean into those things. Like use the proposal document. Like I'll say in the document, like how many other proposals that you're looking at right now look like ours. How many other proposal documents include the map, or even like help you understand how they arrived at their price? Do you have any idea of how they arrived at their price? In mine, you do. So
Right.
lean into those
Which
things
can
in
make
the
you
document.
stand out from the lower priced competitors, right? It's
Right.
something that it doesn't cost a lot of money to have someone make this for you, and if you have some time over a winter, you can get started. It's like a living document. You can update it every year and add to it over time. It doesn't have to turn into a 25-page proposal package like Jason has. It can just be, you know you went from a just a pricing page to now you have a cover letter on it and a profile about yourself. But it really makes you, when you have the map and the square footage and all those other things, it shows value and it shows your trade. And when they see the competitor that just gives a price on a napkin or on a door hanger or piece of paper, it's like they might be way cheaper, but most people have had bad experiences with contractors, and it might make them say like I'd rather just have someone that knows what they're doing, and they might be 10-20% more expensive, but they'll get the job done, and I trust that. And ultimately those are the customers you probably want to be working with anyway, right? So
Exactly. Uh, One more thing that I'll add to this before we close this section out is if you really want to like take this to the next level and on hyperdrive and make it super, remember every time you have a touch point with a customer, like you're trying to remove friction for them and just make it super easy to digest the information that you're giving them. And for that reason, if you're delivering your proposals digitally, I would recommend adding video. So you can embed video very easily into a document. And that way, customers don't have to read a bunch of text to learn the story of your company. They can click and watch a video. I would keep those videos definitely under a minute, if at all possible. So more shorter videos is better than like one longer video,
yeah.
just because the chance of the customer watching a 20-minute video is not very high.
Right. Yeah. Um, and it can be, if it's smaller contracts, like just single family homes, those could be a stock video about you or your company, or you and your company. If it's larger jobs, you could do a custom one. If you're bidding on something that's 150, $200 a month versus something that's 7-8 grand a month, it could be worth the time to put in a custom video and overviewing the whole proposal for them. Um, the last kind of tip to actually getting that done, I know I'm not great at building out these things, and once I have a template, I'm pretty good at editing it and adding to it. But to start off, this isn't my thing. Um, Hiring people off of online, you can get these things done pretty cheap. Make sure you get it in a format that you can edit easily, like a Word document or Canva or something like that. But there's a website called Fiverr. It's like a $5 bill, like a Fiverr. And there's another one called Upwork, and you can just hire people for these types of things for pretty reasonable if you don't know somebody, um, friend or a coworker or something. So that's where I'd start.
Awesome. So yeah, step 1, overhaul your proposal package. What's step 2?
The next section.
Yes. Yes. The next section.
Segment 2. So mastering, just mastering your responsiveness. So if you think of how, like, you could test this by just, opening Google and typing in landscape company and just call 5 of your competitors and see how many people answer the phone, or how quickly they get back to you for a bid at your house or something. So yeah, just mastering responsiveness. A couple of the ways to do that. Obviously picking up the phone is a good start. No more than 2 rings is what Jason often preaches. Setting up a shared inbox. I really like this one. So if you have, multiple people in your company that all have, you have like Aaron at whatever, and Jason at, and Brandon at, and John at. Those individuals could be on vacation. They could be busy in the field, whatever it might be. I really like to have a shared inbox that's just, whatever you'd like, but service at whatever your company name is. We can all see it. If you're gone, you don't need out of office replies and things like that. We can get back to people really, really quickly that way. And I think that really makes us stand out from our competitors. And communication is a huge complaint. Again, it's very in the forefront of customers' minds when they're changing contractors often, right? So
Absolutely. I think that's why this is such an important thing. Is it sounds, a lot of the things we're talking about sound very basic with this particular one. Answer the phone, respond to the emails.
yeah,
But
it is basic.
it's low hanging fruit, and it is something that unfortunately in our industry is not super common. So I think that it's a huge opportunity for you to differentiate yourself, stand out, and it's how you capture the leads coming in. Like there's so many studies, and if we had Jonathan, our producer and partner, on here, he could speak to all the data. It's like this is his world, but there's so many studies you can look up out there that say that like the majority of customers go with the first company they get a hold of, or the first company that gets them a bid. So it's so critical that you're you're capturing these opportunities as they come in. So picking up the phone every time, as Brandon said, setting up a shared inbox. We do the same thing. We actually set them up by team. So, our sales team has experts at ACA Landscape. Our customer service team has service at, and then we just have a team of people monitoring those inboxes. The other thing that we've found very helpful is setting up chat. So just think about all the different ways that customers might want to reach out to you. Some people prefer to call you. Some people prefer to email you. Some people are just browsing your website and have a question right then and there. And if they have a little chat window pop up, they'll send you a chat in there. Now, the key thing with chat is keep in mind that like the response time on chat has to be super, super fast.
Yeah.
That is, if you set up chat and you're taking even 5 minutes to get back to the chat,
Nobody's
rid of
sitting waiting. Yeah.
yeah, get rid of chat. Like, don't have it if it's going to take you 5 minutes to respond.
Yeah.
But there's lots of different programs that can make this super easy to notify you. You can get notified on your phone when a chat comes in. If you use a communication platform within your company, like we use Slack, you can set it so that you get Slack notifications, and chat can be super effective. I
Yeah.
watched it. I watched it be very effective with Brandon when he was
Yeah.
in Denver here a week or two ago.
Yeah. There was this company that sells ammo can propane fire pits, and it's called Lava Box, and
Hold
it's
on. I'm sorry. What is it called?
Lava Box. Is it Lava Box?
It's Lava Box.
Whatever. That's an American Canadian differentiator that Jason's wrong on. So whatever. Although it is an American company. So Lava Box is awesome company, and I wanted to buy one in Denver, so I went on the chat and I sent a message, and the owner instantly messaged me back awesome guy. And I think he was driving possibly while he was messaging me. Even that's the level of dedication and risk that he took. But he told us to just come over to where they build these things. Took us on a tour of their shop. It was an awesome experience. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Lava Box. Highly recommend the product too for anybody who likes camping out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, we both ended up getting one, but I thought that was a perfect example. It was my thought when you chatted in. See, and this is oftentimes I think the thought when you have things like that is you think like, oh, this is like a massive company, like I'm going to get some customer
Totally.
service agent overseas or something. And most times that's probably not the case. But I remember you telling me like, "Oh, I'm just going to reach out to their chat really quick and see." And I was like, "You're not going to get a response." And he
Yeah,
like
it was
within
awesome.
seconds, and yeah, I got
He gave us
2.
whiskey when we were there.
They did, and gave
I
us a
can't promise
tour.
that for anybody else.
Right.
We're
Gave
special.
us a tour of their sweet warehouse as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Well,
The
this
last
one's getting kind of boring. You got another thing on this, or
I
should we
got
get on
I
the
got
next one?
one thing I want to add to this one, which is just if you want to take it to the next level, we've talked about like grabbing those opportunities as they come in, but you can also anticipate your customers' needs as well. So what I mean by that is, if you have, for example, like maintenance customers, and you know once you have that core maintenance contract, a lot of the times what they're reaching out for is like other opportunities, things like planting a tree or replacing this dead plant. Those are all things that you can see before they see, and you can build like a property improvement plan or something like that. That's just one example. Anytime that you can like be a step ahead of your customers, I think that just like takes it to that next level where they're like, man, this is just like an experience that I don't get with anyone else.
Okay, now I got it. I got one more now. So
Okay.
if you a good example of that is if you cause property damage. So if
Yeah.
crew, it happens. These things happen, and this is in the sales process when you're just first talking to a customer. This is also a good thing to bring up, like how you handle damage or scripts. So your guys are mowing, trimming. They break a window. Um, how you handle that, can turn that into quite an impressive experience or not, right? If your crew doesn't tell you, and then you find out, late in the day or the next day from the customer, that's not anticipating their needs at all. You want your guys to report it immediately. You've got a glass guy on speed dial because you're a lawn care company, and there you've cleaned up the glass, you've piled off the area if it's dangerous. You've got it sorted, and then when you report it to the customer to tell them, hey, we had something happen today. We've got a glass person coming this afternoon for a quote. They anticipate it can be fixed by tomorrow afternoon, whatever it might be. I guess you wouldn't want your glass fixed that late, but yeah, live with an open window for a day. But anyhow, I think that's a really good one, and it's something that I often highlight when I'm in a sales conversation too. When
Yeah.
customers will ask, like, what do you do when you cause an issue such as that?
That's a great example. Awesome.
Thank you.
Number 3. Number 3 is lean into your strengths. And I think it's important to note here, I'm not talking about like trying to fabricate, like I think a lot of the times when we talk about strengths and weaknesses, it's like we got to figure out what our strengths are. We got to like think of these strengths and then we got to live up to those things.
Right. It's
No,
not like
like
wishy-washy,
yeah, no,
or
like
it's not like woo-woo.
yeah, exactly. What I mean is like think about your company, what your company is, and then pitch the strengths. So a really good example,
Or make
I
them
think,
strengths. They don't even really have to be actual
right, exactly.
strengths.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm going to let you take this one because this is something that I think you do really, really well. And while you do that, I'm going to open my second beer.
You're on your second beer already.
Yeah.
Well, it's 26 minutes in, I guess. You're the Jason Hoke. You're not just Jason Hoke of the epilogues.
Oh boy.
The guy's from a rock band. He knows how to drink. Okay. So, for example, when you're you're a small company, let's say you're an owner, you've got a couple of crews, you operate out of your garage. I've definitely been there twice actually, and I find companies often want to appear larger than they are, and they want to they'll say things like, yes, our team will take care of that, like on the phone. Things like that. It's like, okay. And it's actually kind of easy to appear large these days with all the, you could have an awesome website and all these things that make you appear quite big. But the point here is that when you're talking to customers or employees, actually, just play on the strengths of being a small company. Things like, hey, you have access to the owner. You're talking to the owner right now in this sales conversation. You called me on my cell. You can get access to me. Try that with, insert large company here. I don't want to call them out, but some national company that you may be bidding up against. Really quick response times to those types of issues. The staff, there's only 3 or 4 of us, and we're very tight knit. That guy's my brother, that guy's my cousin, whatever it may be. And, we've worked together for years. Like, just talk about who you are. On the flip side, if you're a huge company, you can do the same thing, right? There's advantages of being a huge company too, or a medium-sized company, whatever. How do you compete with the small guys in the conversation? Well, you say, well, what happens if that guy's one skid steer breaks down, or his one truck breaks down, or the owner gets sick that cuts your lawn every week, or he loses a staff member. Like, if you lose one staff member when you only have 2, you've lost half your workforce. So the point here is that it doesn't matter your company size or who you are. There is things to highlight, and there is pros and cons no matter what. You might talk about the staff that you hire, like the staff that you have, right? Maybe you're a summer only business and you don't do snow or something, and you hire tons of students. Well, that's very admirable. You put students to work, you have a great training program for them. A lot of them maybe one day start their own businesses and they learn entrepreneurship through you, and you love mentoring all these students. On the other hand, if I run a year-round business and I keep my staff on all year, I'm saying that, hey, my staff will be here season after season. They've chosen this as a career. They want to be landscapers. Nothing wrong with hiring students, but we tend not to, because we look for people that will be at your property year round. So no matter the situation, you can promote yourself and be proud of that. You could be a women-owned business, could be veteran-owned business. These types of things, like, highlight these things. Highlight your story. Like you've got one of the most interesting stories of any landscaper that I know. Very unique. Maybe touch on it for a second, but just with your music background and everything, I don't hear that very often.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I never used to talk about this like within the industry. Like, I never used to use this when talking to customers. I never used to tell my story when talking to employees. You actually were the one who kind of pushed me on this. I talked to my friends about it, and that's how you knew about it. But I think even with you, it's like I probably knew you for a while before it came up and we talked about it. So,
and it changed everything. Changed how I saw you, how I talked to you.
Oh, great. But that's, yeah, it's been something. It's like it really is part of who I am and has shaped what my business is all about. That was always there. I just never talked about it. So yeah, I definitely talk about the fact that, I spent a decade touring as a musician, and that has really kind of dictated like how we build our business. Like I was there when the industry was disrupted, and I saw all those changes, and so I've implemented things in my business that kind of take on that same approach. And
Right.
it's a great kind of, I guess, sales tool, but really it's just being genuine and being honest to like who I am. And also it makes for great stories. And like
Yes.
I guarantee when they meet with like 5 different landscapers, I'm probably the one that's gonna stick with them that they might talk about. There's
Yeah.
a good, like a high likelihood that they'll be talking about it afterwards. And yeah, I've got that feedback from people, and it's been super helpful for us. And it's the same thing with all these things. Like just lean in and be genuine, in regards to like where you're at and who you are. There are advantages to
Exactly.
all of those situations.
Yeah. It's like what makes you different than your competitors? Like customers will ask that sometimes, right? Like what makes
Right.
you stand out to your competitors? And then also when they're reading your proposal or your quote or your estimate, whatever you want to feel comfortable calling it, it's like what makes you stand out? They've got 3 in front of them besides the price. Hopefully, well, I guess it depends on your business, but hopefully you're um, the most expensive or one of the most expensive, and you can still win bids. But why? Like, is it just a blank piece of paper with some prices on it, or do you have year-round staff? You're a small business that the owner's only a phone call away. It's a family, or it's a large business with many levels and a lot of redundancy built in, or you're uh, a rock star drummer that is is also a landscaper, with a great story. And there's a lot of different things there. And I think that it's just figure out your story and highlight it. Think of what a cool value add answer you can have to that question when customers ask you. So
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, thinking about the small business, large business thing, because I would call you a large business now. But
thank you.
you,
Not
as
relative
you,
to the largest,
right,
but sure.
there's always bigger fish, but you obviously were a small business at one point in time, and you worked at a small business prior to that. I'm curious because I'll just say right out of the bat, like I didn't do that well when we were a small company. I didn't sell the fact that we were a small company very well. I didn't like real. I was that guy that wanted to be like, I'll have our estimating team get on, and then I would rush back to the office, and I would be
Yeah.
the one putting the estimate
And
together.
then they
Did
see
you?
Jay mowing the lawn on Monday.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you do that when you were a smaller company? Like, did you have that like mindfulness to like lean into that?
I didn't hide it. I think I did for the first while, and it was uncomfortable, and it felt like I was bullshitting people. Um, I didn't have a proposal package or marketing material or anything, for years. It was just conversations with customers. But when I started, I certainly thought that would really hold me back. I didn't know how to build credibility, or I thought they would have all these worries. But
Mhm.
just being all worried makes them worried. That's
Yeah.
the only thing that makes them worried is like, why isn't this guy confident? So um, I found it stood out most when interviewing employees. Excuse me, was trying to get new people, and I ran it out of my garage, and I didn't even live in town, so they couldn't even take transit to get to my house and I felt weird interviewing them standing at my home in my garage. So it was always well, it was at Tim Hortons, let's be
Of
honest,
course. Of
Canada
course
is
it was. I was
Tim
waiting for it.
Hortons or McDonald's, whatever it may be. And you know, you're trying to attract staff away from companies, I know this gets us a little off track, but I'm trying to get the best staff in town. And there's huge companies with benefits packages, and they can afford all these things. They can cast a bigger vision because they've achieved a bigger vision. They can say, you can move up to be, an account manager, and I'm like hiring my second laborer, and all these things. And what I learned was that there is an advantage to being a growing small business if you can be genuine and demonstrate that, and just say, hey, I've just started this business, whether 6 months ago or 6 years ago, and what I'm looking for is somebody to help me build it. I want to. This is what I want to do. I want to work for these types of customers, and this is kind of who I am. And I'm looking for somebody that I can work closely with and build it out. And I want to hire great staff and do great work and all those things. And, I think if you can just be a genuine enough person when explaining it, staff will be attracted to that as well. Some will, some won't. Some want to go get an account manager job and, a cushy salary and stuff like that. And that's totally fine. But you'll find amazing people to help you at the ground level too. Just don't bullshit them. They're going to find out on day one anyway, right? So, yeah, same
Awesome.
with customers.
Yeah, great. Number 4.
Yeah. So knowing your competitors and selling on your differentiators. So this is another great tactic to make your company stand out. So, what we mean by knowing your competitors is literally knowing who your competitors are, the biggest ones in your space or in your market. Sorry, I took that from Jason. You'll notice he calls it space all the time. I think we should make that a drinking game every time Jason says, "Oh, in the landscape space or in the tech space." But if you're bidding on a contract and you just happen to know who the current contractor is, sometimes I'll see a sign or some lawn sign, herbicide sign, whatever. I'm like, okay, I know who's here now, or
who the most common ones are that are seen, like that customers are getting proposals for as well. Yeah.
Right. So if you know who they are or who they likely are, you can start selling yourself, along at an advantage to that, right? So like, let's say that you're often, you're in commercial or something, and you're often coming up against one of those big national publicly traded companies. And it's getting, it's frustrating because they have more resources and they have fancy proposal packages and marketing and all these things. Well, you can, when you're in sales meetings, you can, without, never bash a competitor. Like, I never bring up a name, or I never say anything directly to a competitor. That's not, it's just not right. I don't know. So
not professional either. It comes across poorly on you. Right.
But you can still talk about things that put you above them, in the customer's mind. So you might say things like, hey, we're not a huge company. We're about 30 people. You can always get a hold of the owner. I'm right here in front of you doing this sales presentation. We tend to attract a lot of people from some of the larger companies around town because they don't, they find they're just a number there, and they, whatever. You start talking like that, right? If you see what I'm saying. And the customer's like, oh yeah, like that guy that we just met with before this an hour ago, they're a huge company, and we didn't get to meet the owner. The owner doesn't even live in the state. He lives, wherever. And yeah, you can really put yourself above that. But the key here is just like, do you know who your competitors are? Do you know who there's a high likelihood of being on the list giving these customers bids or not.
Yeah. I think this one's very closely tied to the last one that we were talking about, because first you need to really know your company and like genuinely be selling on your differentiators,
Yes.
your strengths. But this one's more about like, okay, now how do you position that against what's commonplace in the industry, or what your what the other bids on the table are showing. So um yeah, there's tons of things here that you talked about, the large or small company. It could be anything. It could be the type of equipment that you use, right? Like you could lean into the fact that it's like, that's well. So like Brandon, I'll ask you. Like I'm a customer and
Sure.
I'm shopping with you, and I'm like, okay, so um, you know, let's talk about the actual service when you guys are out mowing our lawns. Like, what does that look like? What sort of equipment are you using?
Right. So we don't have any equipment that has a seat. All of our equipment is walk behind machinery. It is commercial. It is heavy duty machinery, but you'll never see a person sitting down. Um, I noticed that this is a large townhome complex, so there's a lot of and you're a board member or a property manager, and
Well, thank you for noticing.
a lot of like look around. There's a lot of eyes on us right now, just talking in the courtyard, and so image is very important. It reduces complaints to you and communications to you, and it's very important just that we look professional and that we're looking after the property. And we find that using walk behind mowers instead of large zero turns with seats just tends to look a lot more professional than somebody sitting there with a Slurpee and a cup holder, and a cigarette hanging out of their mouth. We're upright. Our people pick up trash when they walk by it, and it looks a lot better. And the smaller equipment tends to not rip up turf as much and that type of thing.
Awesome. I'm sold. You're hired.
Great. Sign here on my proposal package.
Now, what if you were like ACA is your competitor? You're going up. You know that my bid's going to be on the table, and you're going up against ACA. I mean, you don't have a chance, but like,
Sure.
how would you sell that?
Right. So, something that we find, we've tested out things like automations and things like that in the past, where our crew's coming to the site in an hour, and there's things like automated emails, automated text messages, and things like that. And we tried it out for a couple months, and we found we really didn't like there's a coldness to it. We want our account managers to be the ones that have a personal touch with you. You can have a personal relationship. They can call you and tell you when these things are happening. You'll know when we're coming. We don't like all the automations and all the technology and software that some companies in town use. So we tend to just keep things old school. It's like old school service.
Nice.
How does ACA do it, Jason?
My pitch would be the exact opposite of that. It would just be leaning into the automation and the tech. But yeah, that was good. The point being here that it doesn't matter where you are or who you are, like what your company is. You can always sell on the thing that makes you unique and makes you different from the competitors. But first, you have to understand who those competitors are, so you know what you're selling against. Awesome.
Well, just be proud of where your company's at. It might change. Maybe your company 2 years from now gets a lot more automations and all these things, and there's advantages to that too, right?
Oh, 100%. I've thought about that numerous times through the like life cycle of our business, that like I'm selling against the old me now. Like the things that I used to like highlight and like utilize in my pitch, Like I'm now the other guy selling the other direction and highlighting the key points with our business. And I'm not being dishonest. It's like this is where
No,
if anything,
your
I'm being
company's
more
strength.
honest and genuine. I'm like, this is who we are. These are our strengths now.
Exactly.
I guess the last thing.
I gotta get into this Corona. I've got a Corona. You may have heard of that.
I have.
It's a Corona Extra slim can. I really like these slim cans. This is brought up from America. Bought it on the road trip.
Exotic.
For on the road. It was while we were camping.
Right. Nice. I didn't introduce my other beer. I guess I should have. I'm drinking another beer from Great Divide. This one's called the Car Camper. I like that can.
Yeah. It's like what do they call those?
A van?
Volkswagen Westphalia. That's what it is. Looks like a Westphalia.
I've never heard that word in my life.
Well, I don't know. Let's know. Westphalia is like it's like a Volkswagen bus. It's a newer version than you're thinking of. It's not like the cool hippie 60s one. Mm-hmm. It's like a next version Volkswagen bus with like a top that tilts up.
Oh,
you ever seen that? It's camperized. It's like from the factory, Westphalia. Volkswagen bus.
I always just thought that was like a Volkswagen bus. I didn't know there was a name for it. Nice.
Yeah. It's like a camper conversion version. Sorry, this is my first White Claw on the show, but not my first one of the day. I just cut my grass before this, so
of course you did.
1.5 hours to get that done.
Well, now you're going to have to slam that Corona because we are all the way to number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5.
Yes. Build your brand.
Build your brand. So this one, this is something that's, I think, ever evolving. We could spend a whole episode on this easily. Brandon might not approve, but there's so much that goes into brand building, so much that goes into the message that you're putting out there. And
not that I don't believe in it. It's just that I suck at it.
It's just not your favorite thing. That's
right.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, this particular, like, what we mean by build your brand is we've talked about kind of like all the individual things that could all be rolled up into this building your brand, but really what we're talking about is just like getting your name out there and making sure that you have high visibility within your space. So cheers. Could be as simple as logoing your trucks. That's a very simple one. Uniforms for your crews, making sure that that logo is just out there as much as possible. I like to, take that into the digital world as well. So posting on socials. And I don't mean like, I'm not talking about paid ads here. I'm not talking about like advertising necessarily. I'm more talking about just like constantly getting out there, brand building. This is typically brand building is more on the organic side. So just posting on Facebook, posting on Instagram, whether it's pictures of the properties you're maintaining, projects that you just completed, whatever it may be. The more
employee profiles, that's another good one.
Yeah, staff highlights. All those things. All that does is just keeps you front of mind to potential customers, right? Or potential employees, whatever it may be. Like all this stuff actually could be applied to employees and recruiting. Like that's just another form of selling essentially. So, right. Yeah, I think just be present and be persistent in your market or in your space. So,
yeah. I think it's good. I said I suck at it. I mostly suck at just I guess what we're talking about is brand awareness, and I've just never done a good job at some of the more traditional marketing like I've never spent a bunch of money on truck wraps, and like your trucks stand out. Like everybody sees the ACA trucks around Denver, I'm sure. We've just got our uniforms whipped into shape. And Tony on our team got that sorted out pretty quick. They have funny sayings on the back. It says like, "We're sexy and we mow it" or something on the back of some of our shirts.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. It was a popular vote by the team. The one for socials is good, like posting on socials just on Instagram or whatever they use these days.
There's, I think, just really important.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's simple ways of doing all this though, right? Like truck logos to start could be as simple as a magnet that you slap on the side of your truck. It could be like, it doesn't need to be a full wrap crazy thing. That certainly will help. But like
I think the magnets suck. Magnets they blow off. I would just get a cheap decal, and nothing says I don't take this that seriously than having a magnet on your truck. I don't know. Unless it's like I don't know. Maybe there's a place for it, but
better than having a blank truck, though, I would argue. But yes, I agree with you. I
think a decal is cheaper than a magnet.
Probably.
A decal or whatever. Fuck you guys call it.
Thank you. I was holding back, and you called it for me. It's but I think, well, it doesn't really matter because if you're buying newer trucks anyways, you can't even use magnets. They're all aluminum body now. Right. But that was a hard lesson learned when we back in the day when we had magnets and we switched to aluminum body trucks, and none of them would stick.
I can't believe you admitted to that on recording.
Oh, I know.
But I wanted to say about the employees, and like recruiting is super hard. Finding great staff, it's near impossible. It seems to get a bit harder every year, and there's a lot of factors there, but having things on social media might help you more than you think. Like, don't think that this is just for customers. Having your team photos and your company on there is huge. This is where employees go to check out your company. They're checking out your Google reviews, or checking out your website, checking out your Instagram to see who you are. Do they want to work for your company? How many even in a small market, there's many landscape companies. A small town has many landscape companies, and they're all probably desperate for staff, right? So think about like the pools of staff that you're attracting to work at your business when you put ads out, or when you put photos out of your team and things like that. If you're, let's say that, I don't know, like people want to work with people that are kind of like them, right? So if you're like a 19-year-old guy that just finished high school, and you're just getting out into the workforce, and you see photos of one company, and it's a bunch of like gruff old guys, that you probably won't find that on Instagram, but that company is kind of like that, or you see images of that. And then you see another company that's a bunch of, guys in their younger 20s and mid 20s and just starting out, and they have really cool photos and great social presence. Probably apply for that company. If it's like a company with, there's team photos, and there's lots of women in the photos that run the business. And what's funny? Are you laughing? They run
you saved it with the second part of that sentence. Go on.
All right. If I don't know, it's just if you're, I'm not speaking from experience here. I'm just saying, I don't think I'd want to work for a company as much with a whole bunch of old dudes in it as if there was team photos, with people like me, like other women in it. And it's like, okay, this company, they're not jerks or something. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's what's key here is you're just spread. All this one is just spreading the word with all the previous things that we talked about. Like you've
Yeah.
already defined.
Oh, I
Like,
didn't realize that. We ordered these quite well.
yeah, it was. I think we stumbled into that, but yeah, definitely worked. Like you're leaning into your strengths. You're selling, on your differentiators. Now it's just getting the word out there and get it out there as much as possible. Building your brand, to be clear, is not necessarily trying to directly generate leads. That's the difference between branding and marketing, right? Branding is just getting out there so that people know the name of your company so that when they are buying or when they are thinking about something, then they remember that and they know that.
Keep it
Whereas
top of mind.
marketing, exactly. Whereas marketing is like specifically trying to target people who are looking right now to purchase your service. This is more a long play. So both are critical. This one is going to go a long way for you with like fairly minimal effort, like we talked about with the the decals on the trucks, the uniforms. Like it doesn't even have to be something flashy with the uniforms to start. Like a hat and a high vis vest, if you want to start with that. Some
Yeah.
some
Just get those
shirts, as
straps
mentioned.
off Amazon. They're cheap.
Yeah,
Looks way better than torn up, band t-shirt or whatever, unless it's an Apolog t-shirt.
that felt like very personal attack there.
Sorry. Drumstick still in the back pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's we can wrap it there unless you've got anything to add.
No, I think those are all really good, and all 5 of those things. Don't, if you're coming from a place where you don't have any of that stuff, I would just say take the simplest first step that you can. Don't overthink it. If you don't have an Instagram account, don't worry about it. Just start. Just start. That's it. Like just start doing something, and you'll get some momentum and start doing it. It's that's really the key to progress on all of these things, like the proposal package thing, all of them. Really, it's like just make it a tiny bit better, and then you'll have something, and you'll add to it over time.
Awesome. To recap, we have overhaul your proposal package, master responsiveness, lean into your strengths, know your competitors and sell on your differentiators, and build your brand. Appreciate everyone listening and tuning in today. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What has worked for you? What hasn't worked for you? Drop it in the comments. I also want to kind of start a new thing here. Brandon and I obviously are always enjoying our beverages during the recording of this. What beverage were you enjoying while listening to this? Go ahead and drop that in the comments. Let us know your favorite drink, and maybe maybe it'll show up in one of our upcoming episodes.
Send it to us.
Yeah, even better.
Like, subscribe, and send us drinks.
Beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be beer. Send us drinks.
Yeah. Not in that order.
Yeah. All right. Brandon, cheers.
I'm not going to finish this. Cheers.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beer Garden.